listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. Radio's authority on the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology, celebrating 25 years of broadcasting around the world and to the great beyond.
The X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X-Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, the X-Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Welcome back, everyone. This is the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, on the Digital Broadcast Network, the Digital Satellite Network, X-Zone Broadcast Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, Talkstar Radio Network, and in Europe on Radio X. Just chatting with the two guests that we have this hour before we went on air, X-Zone Nation. I've got to share with you what I shared with them. I love their energy. They're a mother and daughter paranormal investigation team. They are P.Act Paranormal. They're in North Carolina, and we have Steph on the line with us. We also have Martha, her mom. And ladies, welcome to the X-Zone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Steph, whose idea was P.Act Paranormal?
It was actually the Spirit's idea.
Okay.
In 2009, we were actually chased by a shadow figure, and the curiosity kind of got the best of us, so we kind of decided to go back and try to find answers, and that led us to decide to investigate.
So tell me, did you ever find out who that spirit figure was and why they were chasing you? I mean, besides, you gals are a lot of fun.
We have some ideas. There is a lot of history at the location, which is where the Kirkland Bushwhackers did a lot of their massacres and murders. But we're not sure if they're related because this kind of seems more of a darker entity. So we're not entirely sure. It's still a mystery.
So, Martha, let me ask you, what was your motherly instinct when you started being chased by this shadow figure or this dark figure?
Okay, the reason that I went down there was I wanted to see what was chasing my daughter. I wanted to protect my daughter at all costs. So, my instinct was that maybe it was something that just sort of guarded the property and sort of chased anyone that came around. I'm still not 100% sure, but I think it was like a bad entity.
Well, let me ask you this, Steph. What was it that happened in your life? I mean, was this the sole reason why you and your mom formed P.Act, or had there been previous experiences that you both had encountered that led up to this decision after being chased by the dark figure or the shadow figure that, hey, you know what? We're going to find out what the heck is going on, Mom. Are you in with me or are you out?
Actually, when I was 13 years old, I had several small encounters, but it wasn't those that you knew were paranormal because I was too young to actually piece things together.
Right.
But as I began thinking about it, I realized that those things were encounters of the paranormal. One was a penny that hopped across the floor by itself, and my dog actually seen it first. It would hop into the floor. It was hopping on the floor, and it would hop up, spin around one time, and fall down. And it did that 4 times. And there were several other things. I had something say hello in my ear when I was about 13 as well. And then after the shadow figure, that was just our final confirmation, and we knew this is what we were called to do.
You were called to do it. I like the conviction in your voice. And what was your thought, Martha, when Steph came home and said, you know what, Mom, we're going to form a pact. We're going to form a pact to find out what the heck is going on, and we're going to call ourselves P.Act Investigations. P.Act Paranormal Investigations, I'm sorry.
Oh, I was all for it. Actually, very enthused because I never saw anything really like that. And when I saw it, then of course I wanted to prove it to everyone else. I want to prove to all the skeptics out there that this stuff, these spirits exist, these entities. And I was all for the group.
Since the group's founding, how many investigations have you been on?
Probably around 50 or so.
Wow. That's a lot of spirits for 2 young ladies.
Oh, yeah. They seem to find us, though. A lot of our things have happened when they came to us, so... Yeah.
Interesting. Ladies, we have to take a 2-minute break here. We'll be right back. X-Zone Nation. Stephanie and Martha are our guests this hour. They are the founders of P.Act Paranormal Investigations, and their website is www.pactparanormalinvestigations.yolasite.com. And we'll be back on the other side sharing examples and sharing stories of the paranormal from North Carolina here in the X-Zone as we continue from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't forget, you can always send me an email. I love getting your emails, and I've got to tell you something, X-Zone Nation. A lot of you have wicked sense of humors. We'll be back. Don't go away. Afterlife expert Roberta Grimes was the first one to say that dying can be fun. Now her best-selling book, The Fun of Dying, is available in stores worldwide. So if you wonder whether death ends life, how it feels to die, or what heaven might be like, The Fun of Dying was written for you. And if you have always been afraid of death, or if you worry that your life has no meaning, let The Fun of Dying ease your fears and bring new meaning to your life. Nothing said in The Fun of Dying is based on the teachings of any religion. Instead, Roberta draws on evidence to explain how death happens, how it feels, and what comes next. A lot of the best death-related evidence was produced in the first half of the 20th century. When it is put together with recent discoveries, it tells a consistent and amazing story. Roberta Grimes blogs and answers questions at robertagrimes.com. Her wonderful book, The Fun of Dying, is available on Amazon and at stores worldwide wherever books are sold. You're listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
While science pursues fact, magic accesses the quantum level, bridging random facts to form truth. As long as science and magic remain separate and polarized, the truth cannot be known. I'm Wilda Wiecka. Join me on the Science of Magic radio program dedicated to unification and evolution of consciousness. During each episode, I'll be speaking with experienced and respected scientists and mystics. From astrologers to astronomers, from medical doctors to shaman, the scientific method to dowsing and intuition, we will weave together information from seemingly divergent practices to promote unity and enlightenment. Join me, Wilda Wiecka, and the Science of Magic right here on the X Zone Broadcast Network. For more information, visit www.thescienceofmagic.net.
Linnea Starr began to demonstrate a metaphysical connection to the spirit world as a little girl. Her family noticed the connection, but it was a great-grandmother who told the family that Linnea was indeed gifted. The great-grandmother, who was also gifted, felt that Linnea had indeed inherited these attributes. It has been noticed that oftentimes such things are passed down through the generations. Linnea was also born with a caul, a thin white membrane across a newborn's face. Legend has it that if the baby is born with this caul, the child will have second sight, or what we call psychic abilities. Linnea Starr does past, present, and future, and has the gift of prophecy. It is written within scriptures that if you are able to give factual information, and prophecies indeed come true, the gift indeed comes from the divine realm. Linnea Starr does large interactive groups as well as private gatherings. For more information on Linnea Starr or to contact Linnea for a one-on-one consultation, visit her website at www.linneastar.com. That's www.linneastar.com. Welcome back, everyone. Stephanie and Martha are our guests this hour. They're with P.Act Paranormal Investigations. Their website is pactparanormalinvestigations.yolasite.com. How long... Well, let me ask you this. Besides being chased by the shadow figure, where has been the most craziest or scariest investigation that you two have done together?
In all honesty, that would be my house.
Okay, tell us about it.
That's what our book's about. But we actually resided with a demon, and we had all sorts of things happening that involved us losing someone very dear to us. But we had things that would go flying off the walls. We had shadows that would go everywhere. I have a son that speaks of seeing things. He was the one that identified that there was a demon in the house at the age of 3. And he saw the demon crawling on the ceiling, and then he's seen things ever since in the house. We actually had to get someone of the Native American culture to help us get rid of it.
Now, did you know that the house that you were living in was haunted at the time you moved in?
No, we had no idea.
Wow. And how long after you had been in the house did the paranormal activity start?
This is the house I actually grew up in.
Okay, so...
I moved back in with my parents after a bad marriage, and things kind of started happening, which we didn't realize to be paranormal until later on when we actually started seeing things, and my son started speaking of things, and that got to where my dogs wouldn't even go in certain rooms. They'd just bark and growl. It was just a mess.
So this evil entity, who is it? Who was it? How did you get rid of it, or is the evil still there?
It's not there any longer. It had to flee just based on the ridding technique that the Native American culture did. But it took us about 3 weeks to get rid of it, but we're not entirely sure what it was. But I can mention that it was close to the devil himself. So, yeah, it was
but why
a
you?
long journey.
But why you? What did you do to provoke such negativity in your life?
We didn't provoke anything. It was actually attached to my father. I think it preyed upon his vulnerabilities when he was battling depression.
So, all right, I understand that, but how long after you grew up in the house, right?
Yes.
Okay, and at the time you moved out, was your dad dealing with depression at that time?
Yes.
Okay. You moved out, you moved back home after a failed marriage. I'm very sorry to hear that, by the way.
Oh, that's all right.
My question being at this time, if this was happening prior to you leaving the first time, I mean with the negativity, and you're attributing the attachment to the negativity caused by your dad's depression, was there any paranormal activity happening at that time before you moved out?
Very small. It wasn't very noticeable. I know I didn't notice much myself except, the penny thing that I had. And he just kept getting worse, like his demeanor. And I will say the house did feel a little bit, the air was heavy, if you know what I mean, but
Sure do,
there was no definite signs at that time. It was when I came back. It was that year that I came back that everything just got out of control.
I hope you don't take what I'm going to say the wrong way, but the fact that you yourself went through a failed marriage, that is very traumatic on a family. You've got a little guy.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible that it was you who brought the negativity with you? And that the fact that your dad's depression was present, there was just a coincidence?
I don't think it was me that brought it back because my mom, even though it wasn't necessarily paranormal factors, when she was still living there with my dad, she was witnessing him change so dramatically. And it was just, I don't know, it was just such a rapid change with him.
So you said that you had to use Native American techniques in order to get rid of the negativity. How did they do that?
Well, he started with the basic saging, just like most ridding rituals start. I know he did sage, and he has a complete washing technique, which we had to do as well before we got to the house. But the last and final thing he did, we are not aware of. It was a secret ritual, and we could not be present for it.
Okay. How is your son now that the entity is gone? And how is your dad now that the entity is gone?
My son is okay. He sees things on a regular basis, but my father is no longer with us.
I'm sorry to hear that. At the time of your father, did your father die?
Yes.
Okay. At the time of the passing of your dad, did the entity's presence grow stronger or weaker?
When my dad was still here, it was kind of just the same. You could see the energy kind of got more intense, but the things that were happening were just like little small things. Like we had some things move that were unexplained.
I see.
Or we would see the shadows or these balls of light. But it was after he was gone that the entity made itself fully known. So I think that's when it was released from him. It had nowhere else to go,
So who was the entity?
Rob, may I interrupt, please?
Sure. Yeah, sure.
Actually, after my husband passed away, just to be honest, HE-double-L broke out in the house. And that's when we realized, from what we saw, what all had really been happening all along. And, all the things we saw and heard was just horrific. And it was actually a demon in the house trying to destroy my family. And I actually have a big revenge wish for this certain entity that came into my house and tried to destroy my family.
Right.
And take something very precious away. But actually, everything came together for us realizing what was going on was after my husband's passing.
All right, your daughter said that the demon, basically showed himself, and I asked, who was the demon?
We don't have a name for it, but the Native American that helped us was actually able to see a entity, and he chased it from room to room, and he stated that he cornered it in my son's bedroom, and it was forced to flee. And he said it was about 3 feet tall and resembled a monkey.
Okay. Since that time where the evil spirit was tossed out by the Native American, has there been any more negative paranormal activity happening within the house?
Not necessarily. My son sees things that I've not experienced myself. I know he's talked of seeing a stick man in the house, which he's terrified of, which he'll see some things that he's not afraid of and some things that he is. But he does speak of being afraid of a stick man.
With all the negativity that happened in the house, why would you want to stay there?
My dad was so attached to that place, and I just couldn't bear to let it go just like that.
Wow.
I'm staying there for him to show that we are stronger and that he gets to keep his house in one way.
Has your dad ever showed himself to you since his passing?
He's not shown himself to me, like I couldn't actually see him, but he's done things for me.
Okay.
And my son has actually seen him. He's seen him the day after he passed away.
How old is your son, by the way?
He's 5 now.
Oh,
he was 3 at the time.
What a cute age. Let me ask you, what is the biggest challenge of paranormal investigating that you both are facing?
The biggest challenge for all paranormal investigators is how misunderstood the topic is. It's something that's not yet proven by science, so there's so many people out to stop you or not support what we're doing. But as a whole, you just got to keep pushing through, and like I said, we have a calling for this, so we're going to get through any obstacles, and our main goal is to try to prove the skeptics wrong.
So do you think that this is a fight between good and evil?
Very much so, yes.
Okay, then why haven't you become members of the clergy?
Well, that's another misunderstood topic. It's not looked at in a good way, especially in our area. So that wouldn't be a route to go. That's some more people that do not support us. Okay. And we're not here to upset anyone or try to fit in anywhere. Sure, we're just trying to find answers for ourselves, and hopefully those answers will be able to reflect and help others.
See, that contradicts what you're saying. You're trying to find answers for yourself and hopefully help others. So, how do you explain that,
If I can find the answers for myself, I can share what I've found with others, and hopefully it'll help them as well.
Gotcha. Now, you said that you're misunderstood. How are you misunderstood, and who misunderstands you?
Society. Society is, I don't know, it's so harsh. When it's something that they don't understand or something they don't want to believe to exist, then they're going to be completely shunning of the topic. So we just try to do our best to prove to society that what we're doing is not meant to be in the wrongdoing, like so many think that we're out summoning demons or something to that effect, but we're not. We're just simply looking for answers.
And you say that there's a lot of non-support for you and what you're doing. Is this also by the members of society that you were describing?
In our area, yes.
All right, ladies, stand by. We've got to take our news break at the bottom of the hour. Exonation. Stephanie and Martha with P.Act Paranormal Investigations are our guests this hour. And their website is www.pactparanormalinvestigations.yolsite.com. And we'll all be back on the other side of this commercial break as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Send me your emails. I love getting them. Also, tell me if you're a believer or a skeptic. Send your emails to xzone at xzoneradiotv.com. My name is Rob McConnell. This is the X Zone. We're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.
Wouldn't you love to know the secret to everything? Well then, meet Dr. Kimberly McGeorge and her cutting-edge breakthrough knowledge that combines science with possibility. Dr. Kimberly brings real-life answers and healing to those open to alternative solutions. She teaches solution-based programs and classes that will change all areas of your life forever. Specializing in conscious creation, intuitive readings, and energy medicine, you can rapidly shift health, relationships, business, and money and abundance challenges quickly. Receive her best-selling book, Secret to Everything, at no cost by going to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone. That's right, transformation can start now. Just go to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone and receive Dr. Kimberly's book for free.
You're listening to the X Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. Thomas Jefferson was a Burgess of 27 when he met Martha Wales Skelton, a 22-year-old widowed heiress who was fondly called Patty by her family. They were married on January the 1st, 1772, and they took up residence in a cabin on the building site on top of a Virginia mountain that Thomas had named Monticello. As Thomas and Patty slowly built their first version of the great house at Monticello, the Revolutionary War was heating up. Patty, with difficulty, bore 5 children, but only 2 girls survived. Thomas's political career developed to the point where he was often away from home, but after he authored and signed the Declaration of Independence in Philadelphia, he resolved never again to leave his wife. He was elected the governor of Virginia, just as that state became the Revolution's last battleground. The Revolutionary War ended in 1781, and Thomas gladly retired altogether to my family, my farm, and my books. But Patty continued to want to bear her treasured husband a son, and late in the summer of 1782, she died of kidney failure at the age of 33, 4 months after having borne yet another girl. Thomas was so devastated by her death that he never remarried. He mourned her for the rest of his life, even as he helped to frame the peace in France and then became the first Secretary of State, the second Vice President, and the third President of the United States. This story is true. Thomas Jefferson was such an obsessive letter writer and record keeper that we know where he was and what he was doing nearly every day of his adult life. Every significant thing he says in My Thomas comes from his contemporary writings. My Thomas by Roberta Grimes is now available at Barnes & Noble, Costco, Target, Books A Million, Hudson Booksellers, Kmart, Walmart, Sam's Club, Walgreens, CVS, and online at Amazon.com. You can visit Roberta Grimes online at www.robertagrimes.com.
The scientist and the mystic have been on an age-old, relentless search with one thing in common. They seek truth. Their paths converge in the 40,000-year-old practice of shamanism, an ancient science delving to the quantum level of life, facilitating healing, manifestation, and evolution. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka, the founder and director of Path Home Shamanic Arts School, a unique Colorado State-certified occupational school, training shamanic practitioners and teachers. We also provide classes for empowering personal lives through shamanism. Our certification classes are in week-long segments enabling international participation, and online classes and long-distance shamanic healing sessions are available. Come discover the science of magic in the limitless world of shamanism. www.findyourpathhome.com.
Unwilling to be the government's deadly assassin, gifted psychic Kahara Mitchell went AWOL and ended up buried under rubble in the wake of a great tsunami. She regained consciousness far from Earth on the medical ship of a Daguerrean intergalactic fleet. Has she been rescued or abducted by aliens? The Chalice of Carrie, Kahira O'Donnell's latest paranormal science fiction romance, is the passionate story of an Earth woman and her destined mates, twin kings from another galaxy. Kahara uses her gifts fighting alongside Lords Rom and Ra in a war that will determine the destiny of galaxies. The Chalice of Carrie by Kahira O'Donnell is now available at KahiraO'Donnell.com or at Amazon.com. You're listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. What Happened in Benghazi is revealed by Nicholas Genix, author of Obama, Islam, and Benghazi. He informs the American people that President Obama deceived them by advocating a strong foreign policy prior to the 2012 presidential election, and Hillary Clinton supported this deception. As the title infers, there is a connection between Obama, Islam, and Benghazi. Ample evidence informs Americans that Obama's early indoctrination in the Quran developed an affinity for Islam, why the Quran is the source of discontent in many countries, and why the Obama foreign policy deception led to poor military action and caused the loss of American lives in Benghazi. Genix provides 36 questions for the Select Committee on Benghazi to validate if Americans are justified to mistrust President Obama and Hillary Clinton. An overview of Obama, Islam, and Benghazi is presented on the website www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com. Annie Callahan, dedicated to negotiating a position for Earth within the Daguerrean Coalition, had trained for 3 years to become an Earth ambassador. Yet, the very eve of her arrival at the capital ruling planet, she is claimed as destined mate to an oversized, mating-maddened vamp who swears he will never release her. Lord Aztaran, king of the Macian sector, has waited over 900 years for his destined mate. Having found her as an alpha vamp, he is unable to relinquish Annie, virtually holding her hostage until he can claim her. Yet Macians cannot survive without their mate's love. How could he strip her of her citizenship, her ambassadorship, and her freedom and expect to win her heart? With All That I Am by Kahira O'Donnell is the latest book in this exciting series, The Daguerrean Chronicles, guaranteed to keep readers coming back for more. With All That I Am by Kahira O'Donnell is available on Amazon.com and KahiraO'Donnell.com. Welcome back, everyone. Stephanie and Martha are our guests this hour. They're with P.Act Paranormal Investigations. Their website is pactparanormalinvestigations.yolasite.com. How do, I can understand some people being skeptical, and I can understand some people not being supportive, and other people not being believers, but how can all these television shows dealing with ghost hauntings, things that go bump in the night, be so successful if if that there's so much of what you two lovely ladies seem to come across all the time as being misunderstood and non-supportive.
Well, we live in a small town, for one, so the people around us, I think they're more scared of what we do. They're kind of afraid. But the paranormal shows, that gives them kind of a way to, they can watch, but they don't have to show their support or not support to try to prove something to anyone else. So I think people are interested in it, but they're afraid of it. And to us, they just don't want to show their support in our small town.
So Martha, what sets your team apart from the most other teams that are out there? And are you the only team in your town?
Yes, we are.
Wow.
The only team in our town. I know exactly what sets us apart. I think we're braver than most paranormal groups because we're after the evidence, and when something bad happens, we don't run. We run toward whatever's happening because we want the evidence to prove to all the skeptics that this is very, very real, which I understand when someone don't believe, because we were skeptics at one time. But once you see it, then you know, and then you have a desire to prove it to everyone else.
What kind of evidence have you established so far to show the skeptics, to try and win them over?
Well, my son is awesome evidence. Anybody can come near him, and he can tell you things that you wouldn't believe. But
Well,
as
no.
far as actually
Let's get
gathering
to
evidence,
let's get to physical evidence here, not hearsay evidence.
we have several recordings that we've gotten that's really neat. We've experimented with all the different types of communication, and we have several things we'd be trying to get. Like, for instance, we were trying to contact my dad, and we asked for his name, and we simply got the reply, "No, he's not here," and it stated his name. We've had several actual communication devices come through.
I understand that you are writing a book. Tell me about the book.
Yes, it just went out. It should be available in 3 days from today. So it's all about our journey with the paranormal, and especially about the demon I told you about. It's got all the details that we went through from the beginning to where we lost my dad and where we are now as we move forward with our journey. It's called What Doesn't Kill You.
And when you and your team go out to do an investigation, how do you proceed?
The first thing we do is, before you get out all the equipment or anything, we go and try to kind of get adapted to the area, pick up on your own vibes, and try to just gather anything we can ourselves. And that's when we actually try to use equipment to aid in intensifying the effect and gathering further evidence.
So what do you do once you gather the evidence?
We take that, and after we analyze it, it's really hard to obtain something that you think is true evidence. It's just something that we take a long time and distinguish from. But once we do, we just put it out there to share it with everyone.
And what has been your strongest piece of evidence to date?
Basically, the messages from my dad. I've had several occasions where we got direct answers in several different questions, and that's my favorite evidence so far, because I know everybody can't physically feel it like we do, but when we were communicating, when the actual answers came through for us, we could feel it as well.
So what kind of investigation cases have you included in your book? Or is your book basically a biography of your own experiences?
That's basically what it is. It's about our experiences. It mainly focuses on the demonic encounter in my home and what all we went through, the different stages we went through with that. But we also included a few other stories just to show that there's so many different aspects of the paranormal. It's not all bad. It's not all good. It's just a mixture of things.
And where did you ladies get your expertise when it comes to investigating the paranormal?
It all was a learn as you go. We began when we first saw the shadow figure, and we were just dead set on figuring out what was down there, or at least documenting that or something. We decided we were going to research anything and everything that involved the paranormal, whether it be books, online, just anything we could do, and we found the similarities between all of them, and we just kind of did learn as you go and develop our own techniques.
And how the investigations that you've done within your community, how have they been supported by those people who have asked you to help?
People are always reluctant to ask for help, but once they realize that when we get there, we are just solely there to help, we're just trying to establish safety for them, make them feel better about what they're experiencing, they seem to become a lot more, like they realize a lot more that it's okay what we do. We're just there to help people. That's our main goal.
But how much about what you do is actually real compared to the placebo effect?
Well, everything that we do basically is real, isn't it, Steph?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we don't do fake. We don't do...
No. That's not what
we
I was...
always debunk everything.
No, that's not what I was getting at. What I was getting at
what?
is somebody calls you into their house because they believe that they have a presence, an entity, a ghost, a spirit, whatever you would like to call it, in their house. You go in and you basically do your investigation. And the question is, how many times do you go in and do an investigation where just by the presence of you and your team being there is good enough to cause the effect in the mind of the people who have brought you in that they are no longer bothered by whatever this entity, the spirit, or this ghost may be? That's why I asked, just by being there, compared to actually finding something, what is the percentage of finding something compared to the placebo effect or the psychosomatic effect of you being there?
Rob, when several people at once see doors open and closing by themselves, cabinet doors, and I mean, you pretty well know that that's not placebo effect. And then, of course, we always use God to get rid of like a bad entity. But all things are not bad. Sometimes God allows your loved ones to visit for different reasons.
It's kind of like a 50-50.
Yeah.
Most of the time we go there, we can really determine that they do, in fact, have something going on, and we do have to do repercussions. But there is other times that they think that, okay, I've got a paranormal team here, everything's fine. So,
what kind of equipment do you ladies use?
We have a lot of the different ones you see on TV, but I love to use anything to do with spirit communication. We've got the ovuluses, the spirit boxes. We even use the communication apps sometimes. We've got all the infrared lighting, the EMF detectors, K2 meters, just basically the same as you see on TV.
So what are you hoping to do? What is that all-conclusive proof that you're hoping to find?
We just mainly want to look for closure and find a way to get that closure. I hope that one day it won't just be us. I know science is working towards it too. I hope that they can realize that there is a such thing as life after death, and any little pieces we can do to put together and make a small bit of a step towards proof, then we've succeeded.
Why do you think it's so important that we establish whether or not there's life after death? Like, here it is, the year 2015. The fact that, to this point, it hasn't been proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that life does go on after death, it hasn't hindered our development any, so why do we really need to find this?
It's more of a self-reasoning. I just want to prove everything to everyone so they can realize how personal this world can get, especially when you deal with something like we do. Like we've dealt with a demon, for instance, and it got to a personal level. We just want to prove to people that there is good and bad, and sometimes there's consequences.
All right, let me throw this hypothesis at you. Tomorrow you and your team go out, you find the proof that there is good, there is evil, that there is life after death. What happens after that?
Well, I think it would be great for everyone to realize that, because it's very true. Just like one thing I can think of that was like a proof to me was a little older lady that I love very much. Her name was Midgie. Passed away, and maybe a couple months later, on her Ovilus one night, a message came through, and it said Midgie, it said Jesus, and it said happy. So that was just extra proof for me.
Maybe it can instill hope in others. That would be the main goal, to let them know that this isn't it. There's something else out there. And even if you're going through something terrible like we did, you're not finished.
But
You've still got...
But isn't that what religion is supposed to do?
Yeah, religion. I mean, yeah, there's lots of kind of religions. Most of it involves the same God, I think.
Right, and God
loves everyone.
Sure, and
He gives us.
You've got the resurrection, and you've got other people who believe in reincarnation. So it's not as if that society has had a closed mind to the paranormal.
No.
But I often wonder why now, in this time and age, it seems that the great quest for the paranormal only came after the UFO TV series and the attention that UFO investigators got, that ghosts became the next topic for television shows. And how much of the media hype is actually contributed to the growth of the paranormal industry?
Rob, I think a lot of people, lots and lots of people we have realized have had experiences, and they've been afraid to say. And it's all starting to come out more because they've had experiences themselves. They can relate, and they're not as afraid to say that they have saw something. They don't, they used to think people would think they were just crazy.
Yeah, I agree.
Now more and more people tell us that they have, have saw ghosts, spirits, angels.
Or they have seen something that they can't identify, and the human brain,
Yes.
And the human brain, and this is a scientific fact, when it doesn't understand something, it will fill something in.
Mm-hmm.
So how many of these so-called ghost sightings, spirits, are real compared to something that the person who is making the observation is not actually seeing a ghost, but something that the brain fills in the blank with?
I think most of it is real. That's what I think. What do you think, Stephanie? I think 80% of it's real. Maybe 20% is just your mind or imagination. Mm-hmm. Especially when several people see the same thing at once.
Yeah, simultaneously.
There's no doubt,
You do realize that there is scientific evidence that people can actually pass on visual suggestion to another person in an area where everyone believes they are going to see something or hear something. That this is a well-known scientific and medical anomaly.
Yeah, but everybody's mind, if you've not talked about it, you just show up and everybody sees exactly the same thing at the same second. Nobody's talked about what they're going to see. Mm-hmm. Then, I mean, that's proof when everybody sees exactly the same thing at the same time.
Well, it would be proof to some people, but to other people it's not proof. So we can't take take a bias and ignore what the other people believe in as well, because I found this with people who investigate the paranormal, that they get really ticked off when people do not believe what they believe. And
no. I didn't believe it until it started happening to me, and I didn't ask for it.
Yeah.
I just had it happen, and I was a skeptic, but I'm no longer a skeptic.
So what do you think about all these so-called reality TV shows that are on now when it comes to the paranormal? Are they an asset, or are they a hindrance to true paranormal investigations?
Asset.
They can be an asset by making awareness, but they can also be a hindrance. And it's all just so repetitive, and I feel that we need something more complex. Yeah. I don't know. something that shows more of what we do instead of just standing in the dark. More of the thought processes, like more of the feelings and thought processes should be displayed.
Right now in the United States, there is over 16,000 paranormal investigation groups that focus on spirits, ghosts, and other aspects of that paranormal. How come that all conclusive evidence has not been established yet, with over 16,000 groups going out there each and every night?
Well, there has been a lot of evidence, hasn't there, Stephanie? There've been
It
a lot
just
of
depends
stuff.
how people perceive it.
There've been a lot of stuff,
things
yeah.
that certain people would perceive as evidence that others don't. It's just, like I said, paranormal is such a unique topic. It's not something that's been explained yet, so everybody has to come up with their own terms and own conditions of whether or not they're going to believe this is evidence or it's not.
And where do paranormal investigators draw the line between being respectful to the dead and being disrespectful to the dead?
We're very respectful at all times.
Yeah, we treat them just as if they were still here in the physical world with us, because supposedly they were people too, so they need to be treated as
But
so.
you see, you just said something that contradicts what you've been saying all this hour.
What's that?
You said as if they were people.
Well, no. Some of them were people that God
Well, there's
allowed.
dark entities too.
Yeah, that's a different story.
And
All
we don't
right.
know yet. So we
We don't
always
really-
try to go in as respectful.
We do not respect demons.
All right, ladies, we've got to take our final break for this hour. Exo Nation, Martha and Stephanie are our guests there with Paranormal Investigations. Pact Paranormal Investigations.yolasite.com. And we'll be back on the other side as we wrap up this segment here in the X Zone with yours truly, Rob McConnell.
Little children aren't the only ones afraid of the dark. Millions of soldiers return from war zones with PTSD, anger, frustration, fear, and loneliness, much of which surfaces during the darkness of the night. You have the chance to change the lives of these American heroes. Songs and Stories for Soldiers.us provides free MP3 players for these men and women. With a list of 3 million songs in 16 different styles, 100,000 audiobooks, and 30,000 old-time radio programs, every veteran can find something to soothe and comfort them at no cost. All our players contain an 8-hour audio program designed to help veterans fall asleep. With 1,500 plus vets now participating, it's our goal to deliver 10,000 audio players this year. Go to our website at songsandstoriesforsoldiers.us. Help us help a veteran make it through the night.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
You're listening to the X Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. If you enjoy reading a good mystery with a touch of the paranormal, then you'll love From Out of the Woodwork by William S. Peckham. Sean Kennedy, a Toronto contractor, buys derelict houses, guts them, and turns them into multi-family dwellings. When Sean buys 29 Livery Lane, a century house in ruins, and starts the renovation, the house fights back. He is visited by ghosts of owners past. His visions are triggered by touching an oak mantle, reading a faded letter, opening an old locket, or opening a brand new casket in the basement. These visions will take you on a trip across southern Ontario from Niagara Falls to Toronto to Kingston. From Out of the Woodwork is now available in paperback and on your favorite electronic reader. To order your copy of From Out of the Woodwork, go to www.williamspeckham.com. That's www.williamspeckham.com. Welcome back, everyone. Stephanie and Martha are our guests. They are with P.Act Paranormal Investigations. Their website is pactparanormalinvestigations.yolasite.com. And during the break, Martha asked me a question, if I was a believer or a skeptic. And it's very simple. I want to believe, but I want proof. It's that simple. You know,
Sure.
my training as a criminal investigator has taught me to seek out evidence, to seek out proof. And that is one thing, whether they are UFO investigators, whether they are Sasquatch investigators, whether they're investigating the Loch Ness Monster, whatever the case is. There is no proof to this day that would meet my burden of proof, that would meet the judicial burden of proof. And I often wonder what would happen if the scientific community did get involved, and Stephanie and Martha, and they proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that the paranormal has nothing to do with the dearly departed. It has nothing to do with demonology, but is actually a reflection or a memory that we who are left behind are not creating ourselves.
Well, I have to say again, Rob, when something happens that a whole bunch of people sees at the same time that has not been discussed, and it's exactly the same.
But that has been
Nobody imagined it.
That has been proven to be false, because it has been proven that when a group of people go into an area with the expectation of seeing something or hearing something, that the illusion can actually be passed by ESP and telepathic powers. We know this to be real.
Well, we need to prove it to you, don't we, Rob?
What if they weren't expecting it, though?
Yeah.
Like if you're going somewhere and everybody sees everybody, but nobody was expecting anything. They're not looking for it.
All right.
It just all happened.
I'd like you to do something for me right now, Stephanie. Look at the floor. Are you looking at the floor? Why did you do that?
Yeah. Because you told me to.
Bingo.
Yeah,
but I wouldn't be telling these people to do it. Like, I'm just saying,
But
if
if
we were
these
all standing
people-
here and all of a sudden everybody just starts yelling about the same thing.
And they had no expectation whatsoever that a paranormal event had been discussed, or that...
No. What if you're somewhere like having a party and everybody's just having fun, and then something happens that nobody expects and everybody sees it? Then I'm pretty sure that's
they all
real.
start, if they was all simultaneously just telling everybody about it. Like they all was just talking about it together. It's not like one figured it.
And what if the door flies open and everything comes crashing off of a cabinet?
Yeah.
I mean, and nobody expected it. Nobody wanted it. It just happened.
All right, I can explain what
witnessed.
a possibility for the party could be, and you and I were discussing this before the show. Good old North Carolina moonshine.
No. We don't do moonshine.
That can't be involved. They have to be separate.
Rules.
But we were talking about things happening at a party, ladies. Listen, I want to thank you both for coming on the show tonight. We've got to say so long, but once again, thanks so much, and we hope to hear more from you in the future. Oh, by the way, Exo Nation, Martha's son is in the TV reality show, I believe, called Moonshiners. If you'd like to get more information on P.Act Paranormal Investigations, their website is pactparanormalinvestigations.yolasite.com. And I'll be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Send me your emails, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. Tell me whether you're a believer or a skeptic. Once again, I want to believe, but I want proof. It's that plain. It's that simple. I want proof. My name is Rob McConnell. This is the X Zone. We'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away.